Hey everybody, this is Jen. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to do a October walk through the garden. So come along with me right here on Garden Jen's Journey. Okay, so it is the lovely month of October here in Michigan, Zone 5B, and it is fall. A lot of our leaves have already turned, some have fallen already, and the garden is starting to go to bed itself. So let's head on out to the garden and see what it looks like right now. This is our beautiful little Mavis. She is one of 3 chickens that I had to help hatch since our incubator failed. And now she's kind of like a pet chicken. She is an Araucana. You see how full this wheelbarrow is. We had a rainstorm here yesterday. It was basically a 24-hour rainstorm. And we got basically 4 inches of rain and the last 2 rainstorms that we've had, which is a lot of water. Alright, so this is my container garden area, and I've already started putting most of it to bed. This is kale that's here. Have some kale there and some beets, but most of it has been put to bed. I put on a fresh layer of compost from our lovely chickens, and then top dressed it with some grass clippings here. So these are all put to bed. And this will sit this way over the winter and into spring. When it's time to plant, this will be good and ready to plant right into. This bed here my husband had to repair. It had fallen, and so as I'm getting this ready, I have to go get some more compost, fill that up, and then top dress it with the grass clippings, and it is all set for the winter night slumber as well. Still have plenty of catnip to harvest and dehydrate. This is available in my Etsy shop to use as a tea. And I will be making some tea blends with this in it as well. But mints go quite a ways into the fall and winter months before they really start dying back. See this beautiful borage plant? It's a volunteer that I'm not sure how the seeds got over here, but it's okay. It's big and lush, and the pollinators have enjoyed it as well. It's right next to my pot area where I have a whole bunch of containers that I plant in. And right here I have some carrots, some Kyoto carrots, but I'm not sure if they're going to do all right or not. Something got in here and ate all the greens off them, so we'll keep an eye on them and see if they do okay or if not. My purple potted pole beans, which I grew up here on the fence by my jog run, they're really starting to die back, and I've been collecting the seeds. The seeds for these will be available in my Etsy shop as well. There's my dog Andy and my dog Autumn, my cat Smoke Bomb. She's usually the center of attention in a lot of the videos, aren't you? Yeah. Alright, so this is the main garden. My rose area is just really hopping. My zinnias are tall and I've got a ton of them. My straw flowers, they're doing really good. And then my roses, look at this beauty. This here is the Neil Diamond Rose. Isn't this gorgeous? This particular rose was bred by the singer Neil Diamond. That's how it got its name. And it's a beautiful rose. Then there's a pink rose here. I have a peach rose back there. I have a yellow rose right there. And then right here is some white roses. They haven't opened up on this go round. But lots of blooms still here in the rose garden. And then of course my other cat, trying to find some catnip. And there's a special treat down here. If I'm quiet, I might be able to show it to you. Monarch butterfly. Isn't she gorgeous? My medicinal bed is starting to die back. One of the things we deal with is powdery mildew on the bee balm. It's very prevalent in our area. We have high humidity, so it just happens here. So that's pretty much done for the year. Our thyme's still doing good. I've got some chamomile in through there. The lemon balm's pretty much done for the year. I've got a little bit more that I can harvest, but it's pretty much done for the year. Rosemary's doing good. Pretty soon I'm going to have to take that inside. It does not live through our cold winter here. Variegated Sage. I believe this one's called pineapple sage if I remember right. I've got a couple different plants of this because it's just really, really pretty. Yarrow. Then this is lemon thyme and echinacea, and it's really started dying back. I have a couple of seed heads that I've covered. I've got some more I've got to cover. My horehound. You see the forest I've got there. Isn't that cool? I'm very careful about going through that forest area that it kind of created. It's a great habitat for different creatures to live in, so I try not to go in it too much this time of year when it's a nice little forest. It's a great little area there. It's comprised of my fig tree, my elderberry bushes, my bee balm, and so it's just as it grows like that, it's just really cool. But you can see that's still nice and lush. Still got a lot of blooms on my gaillardia, my petunia. This time of the year I let the chickens in because there's generally not too many crops on the ground they can destroy, and so I let them in so they can scratch and fertilize and that sort of thing. My other cat Sarah came to say hello, as did Henrietta. My lima beans are still going strong. I haven't seen any start turning color yet, which hopefully they do. They're still nice and green and beautiful, but this time of year they need to start changing because I need to be able to start saving their seeds. Frost is on the way. It was supposed to be here this last weekend, but we've been blessed that it's held off, which is good because these guys could not take a frost. Frost and beans do not agree. Speaking of beans, we'll move down to the next trellis here. It looks a lot different. This is my old Mother Stallard beans, and it knew that it was time to start dying back. I've been harvesting these beans for about a week now, and it's still dying back. Seed pods are still drying out. We've got some that are just almost ready to harvest. Not quite yet, but they're getting there. But I have gotten a ton of beans off this, and there's still quite a bit more. This is definitely a bean that I highly recommend if you're into dried beans and you want a pole bean variety. Old Mother Stallard is #1 in my books this year. This is Wade's Giant Indian Corn. And if you've been following me along, you know why this corn patch looks the way it does. We had couple of severe storms back to back. I think 3 of them, if I remember right, back to back, that just laid my corn patch out flat. I have 2 corn patches, and laid them out flat, and I thought I was done for. But look at the size of the ears on this thing. Let's see if I can zoom you in here. Look at the size of the ears. And so against all odds, it's doing wonderful. And I have some ears that I'll be able to harvest in a little while. This is a dried corn, and so I have to wait for the plant to die back and for the ears to dry out, and then it'll be good to go to make cornmeal out of. My hollyhocks have all died back, but my straw flowers over here are still going strong. And then these are my Hadata shield beans, and frost killed most of them before they really got going, so I had a limited amount of plants that actually were able to grow this year because I had a limited amount of seeds to start with. So overall, this plant did pretty good as far as producing bean pods. So all in all, it's okay. This is #2 as far as pole bean variety for dried beans that I recommend. I have to grow it again next year and see if it gets anywhere close to being as prolific as the Old Mother Stallards, but it's still a nice variety to try. And I will have these seeds available in my seed shop as well. One of the downfalls this year with our wacky weather was my tomatoes here. And this one here is the purple bumblebee. You see, it is loaded with tomatoes, but very late in the season. These tomatoes probably won't make it because again, we are expecting frost anytime now. And that's what happens some years, depending on your weather, is plants just will not grow when they need to grow, and by the time that they do grow, it's too late. So it's a beautiful variety. I love the bumblebee varieties. I bought the seeds from Baker Creek originally, and I really enjoy them. It's just this year I won't be enjoying tomatoes from my own garden. These tomatoes are the same way. These are a beautiful beefsteak type tomato. These are Brandywines, and they're beautiful as far as size and everything. But again, because they produce so late in the season, I probably won't be able to use them for anything. I'm going to keep them on the vine as long as I can, and then see if I can ripen them on the counter. But it's just a shame that it took so long for these beautiful plants to get going this season, because I really like a fresh tomato out of my own garden. But that's why farmers markets are so important, that you can go down to your local farmers market and get some produce that maybe you couldn't grow in your own garden, and help support those local farmers. This is my Blue Lake pole bean trellis, and this variety really shocked me this year. It's doing very, very well, and it's finally starting to turn. I'm starting to get some yellowing on my beans here, which is awesome, because I really would like to save the seeds from this and grow it again next year. So I need more of these bean pods to start turning colors. That way I can share the seeds with you guys as well. And Flash just flashed in here to say hello as well. Some of my chickens are eating the pods from my purple bean here. This is the Triumphal Violetto pole bean, and it's a purple pole bean. And it does very good. Every year it produces pretty good. And I am saving the seeds for this one as well. Next year I'm going to be growing the purple potted pole bean that I showed you earlier in the video as my purple pole bean of choice for next year. I'm going to give this variety a break just to try out a new variety next year. This is my other corn patch. And you can just see how well it is doing. That's a smaller ear there. But after being beaten to death pretty much by the winds of our area, it's doing pretty good. I have a lavender tucked in here. This is another catnip plant that I have. And I've cut it down quite a bit to harvest. And it's still nice and round and lush. It comes back quickly every time after I cut it down. And we got more. Catnip can spread like crazy, but overall it's pretty easy to pull out and manage. So don't be afraid of growing mint. Just learn how to manage it. I've got some good news for those who are interested in broadleaf plantain. I actually do have seeds for broadleaf plantain, as well as its cousin, the narrow leaf plantain. Those will be in my Etsy shop. I was so thankful that they actually started maturing their seeds so I could harvest these for you guys, because I know some people wanted the broadleaf as well as the narrow leaf. My raspberry patch is doing really, really well. I'm so excited. After having a hard time trying to limp them through the summer, they're really taking off, and I've been weaving the new growth through the trellis here to get ready for next year, so we shall see how that does. And then this plant really started taking off too. This is a hops vine. This is common hops, and it's got quite a few hops on it. See if you can see the hops berries up there. Zoom you in here. Those are all hops. Hops is what they use, of course, to brew beer, but it has other purposes as well. It's used in some of your sleep aids, and it works very, very well. And that's why I grew it. I grew it to go in my sleep aid formula. So I'm very excited that this finally took off. Hops is a perennial. So now that this plant's finally established, next year it won't take as long growing. And I'll be very, very excited to see the amount that it produces next year. Taking a quick peek into my pitiful greenhouse. It works more as a hothouse in the summertime than an actual greenhouse. But, you know, you make things work as best as you can with what you've got. I already harvested my sweet potatoes, which were in the back there. But these are cayenne peppers, and you see they're still growing strong. I still have a lot of green peppers, and I still have some red peppers I need to pick. They're doing excellent in here, but they are starting to die back. I brought in some of my cold sensitive pots, like the nasturtium and the basil here, and it's doing very, very good. This is peach melba nasturtium, and then I have sweet basil, and then I have holy basil and Thai basil all here. I also have here some plants that I propagated from cuttings, which is really, really cool if you can get them to grow. I have an elderberry in the back with a pansy that self-seeded itself from other pansies. But the ones that I'm really, really excited about is these two roses here. I propagated them from cuttings from a rose that wasn't doing so well. And so I plan on using these next year to replace that sickly looking rose. And then here in front is some Comfrey seedlings that I started using a root that I had purchased, and they're doing very, very well. I had one root, I think it was about 5 inches long or so, and I cut it into quite a few different pieces, and so far I have 3 seedlings that I was able to propagate from that one root, which is really, really cool. And then here I have a couple more propagated seedlings. These are other roses, and I find that the easiest way to propagate the rose is to put them in a little pot and then simply put a Ziploc baggie over it, and it works very, very well to keep in that moisture and to keep in the warmth, and eventually they will look like these two. So that is most of my garden. Now I'm going to take you to a very special garden place that I don't think I've shown you guys this year, and we'll see what that looks like. All right, so we are looking at a very special garden area here, and if you can guess what they are, I'll give you a hint. That is a headstone marker. These are 2 graves for some very, very precious pets that we lost over the last couple of years, and I will insert a picture. So this is our dog Dyson's grave here. We lost him first to cancer, and then the following year, if I get my timing right, the following year I had to put down my cat, and so we buried her next to Dyson because they got along pretty good, and this was a good area to have a pet cemetery, so to speak. And then shortly after, probably another 6 months or so, we lost another cat. He was kind of like Angel's mate, and so he is buried here with Angel. And so these are some precious flower bed areas that we put together after we buried the animals. We planted things here, and this isn't overgrown, even though it looks that way. I planted since Angel was kind of spicy, as I like to say, her demeanor. Her flower bed area is herbs, and so I have thyme, and then what looks like overgrown grass is actually chives. So and then a hosta in the middle there, and then tucked back here, see if I can find it. You see a little sleeping cat. That is our little just memorial to our cats there. And then for Dyson, we put in plants that kind of represented his character. We have lavender here because he helped you calm down. He was an awesome, awesome pet. Dusty Millers, because he was often dusty from playing outside. We got some hydrangea going. It'll get big and bushy, and he was a big and bushy dog. And I had some other plants in here I don't remember that I had planted at the time. They were annuals that just were a testament to his character. But I knew I hadn't showed you guys this flower bed area at all this year, because I've been really focused on the main flower garden this year, the main vegetable garden, especially with being sick with COVID twice. So that was my main focus. But I wanted to bring you guys out here because this is also a very special garden area. So that is the fall walkthrough, at least for October, on what's going on in the garden. A lot can change in just a couple days or a week, depending on when we get our frost. And if anything significant changes, I'll be sure to let you guys know. But you know, every month out here, it's awesome to see the different changes in nature and in the garden and just what's going on in general. I thank you for watching this video with me today. Make sure you give it a thumbs up if you liked it. And thank you for being with me on this journey. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I'd love to have you along. And until next time, everybody, I hope wherever you are wonderfully blessed. Bye-bye.